Also in the UK, King Charles III has made his youngest brother, Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. The title was last held by their father, Prince Philip, from 1947 until his death in 2021.
For over 20 years, Prince Edward had been waiting for a promise that carried the weight of royal history, a dukedom unlike any other, one that would cement his place in the annals of the British monarchy. His father, Prince Philip, had made it clear before he passed that Edward was destined for this honour, and for decades that promise hung in the air like a royal shadow. The Queen supported it wholeheartedly, and Buckingham Palace even confirmed it publicly on Edward's wedding day. But when the moment to fulfill that promise finally arrived, King Charles hesitated, pausing in a move that shocked palace insiders. He even entertained the idea of giving the prestigious title to a 10-year-old girl. Ultimately, he agreed, but with a caveat so dramatic it could end a centuries-old dukedom in a single generation, changing the course of royal history forever. Yet this titanic struggle over titles was just the beginning. While the world focused on ceremonial honours, Edward's legal team quietly played a far more powerful hand. They were securing something tangible, profitable, and long-lasting, a 150-year lease on a sprawling 120-room crown mansion through a private company. This wasn't just a property deal, it was a strategic move that gave Edward the legal right to earn income from royal property. On top of that, he inherited Prince Philip's vast charitable network, spanning 140 countries. Edward wasn't simply gaining a dukedom, he was inheriting an entire institution, complete with influence, property, and global reach. Today, we reveal the story behind how Edward outmaneuvered the king, safeguarded his father's legacy, and claimed assets that King Charles may have assumed were his by right. This is the inheritance battle Buckingham Palace never wanted publicised, a promise that took 24 years to finally honour, a story of patience, strategy, and quiet resilience. The saga begins not in a throne room, but in an intimate sitting room, 2 days before a royal wedding. It was June 1999, and Edward was preparing to marry Sophie Rhys-Jones. Without ceremony or fanfare, Prince Philip entered, his presence commanding yet direct. Sophie later recounted the encounter to the Telegraph. Philip came straight to the point. He literally came straight in and said, "Right, I'd like it very much if you would consider that," Sophie said. He wanted Edward, and Sophie, to consider Edward becoming the next Duke of Edinburgh. The announcement stunned the couple. Edward had assumed that his older brother Andrew would inherit the title, but Philip had entirely different plans on that wedding day. Buckingham Palace formally declared that Prince Edward would receive the Dukedom of Edinburgh in the future once Philip's title returned to the crown. The declaration involved 3 members of the royal family, a signed written agreement, and a public statement, a promise that seemed official and binding. But no one could have imagined that fulfilling that promise would take 2 decades, 2 royal deaths, and the refusal of a new king to honour the wishes of his father. In the meantime, Edward accepted a smaller title, Earl of Wessex. Inspired by the film Shakespeare in Love, he patiently waited as his father withdrew from public life, navigating the complex expectations of royalty while keeping his focus on family. The passing of Prince Philip in April 2021 brought the Edinburgh title into sharper focus. By law, it initially passed to Charles as the eldest son. The plan was for Charles to recreate the title for Edward, but the king had a different vision. Between April 2021 and March 2023, a silent, tense rivalry simmered behind palace walls. The drama unfolded not in tabloids alone, but in the quiet corridors of power, revealing the depth of Charles's long-held resentment toward his youngest brother. This resentment traces back to their childhood. Biographer Jonathan Dimbleby noted that Charles felt his father treated him with a distant coolness, while Prince Philip lavished warmth on Edward, reading to him, playing with him, and forging a connection that Charles lacked. Author Tom Bower remarked that even in his 70s, Charles could harbour jealousy for a younger brother who had no public role and posed no threat. That jealousy became public in July 2021, just months after Philip's death. The Times reported that Charles had decided not to grant Edward the Edinburgh title. One insider stated plainly, "It is up to him what happens to the title. It will not go to Edward." Another source added, "Edinburgh won't go to the Wests, As far as he is concerned, Clarence House fueled the confusion with a statement claiming any discussion of the title was purely speculative. Charles justified his decision under the banner of a slimmed-down monarchy. A courtier told the Daily Mail that the king wanted to simplify the royal structure and felt creating a hereditary Duke of Edinburgh for Edward, whose son James would inherit, did not fit this vision. But the argument seemed selective. Charles had no qualms granting Prince Harry the Sussex dukedom in 2018, or letting Andrew retain the Duke of York title even after scandal. The slimmed-down monarchy seemed to apply only to honouring his father's dying wish. Then came November 2022. Just after ascending to the throne, Buckingham Palace reportedly considered giving the Edinburgh title to Princess Charlotte instead of Edward. In a rare interview, Edward shared his feelings with brutal honesty. "It was fine in theory, ages ago, when it was sort of a pipe dream of my father. It will depend on whether the Prince of Wales, when he becomes king, will do that." His father's final wish had been reduced to a fragile dream. Finally, the moment came on March 10th, 2023, Edward's 59th birthday. Buckingham Palace announced that King Charles had granted him the Duke of Edinburgh title, but after 2 years of public uncertainty and private disappointment, the victory felt more like a reluctant concession than a heartfelt decision. Royal experts noticed a crucial caveat. The title was granted for life only. It would not be hereditary. This was unprecedented in recent royal history. When Prince Philip received the Edinburgh title in 1947, it was hereditary. Andrew retained the Duke of York title, and both William and Harry inherited the dukedoms of Cambridge and Sussex. Every modern royal dukedom had been hereditary, except Edward's. When Edward dies, the title dies with him. His son James, now Earl of Wessex, will not inherit. The title will revert to the crown, and could then be granted to one of Charles's, or likely William's, children. Camilla Tomini of the Daily Telegraph explained the strategy. The non-hereditary clause was designed to allow William to eventually give the Edinburgh title to one of his own children, probably Charlotte. In this way, Charles kept his father's promise in name only, twisting its meaning. Philip had envisioned Edward's family continuing the Edinburgh line, but Charles ensured it would last only a single generation. Meanwhile, Andrew retained his hereditary honour despite public scandal. A clear message: even a disgraced prince keeps his royal inheritance. Edward, the loyal, unobtrusive brother, received a title that ends with him, a stark illustration of palace politics and strategy. But while the public focused on titles and ceremonies, something far more consequential was unfolding. Royal titles may carry prestige, but they do not produce income. The Duke of Edinburgh title comes with no land or revenue, but property. That is real power. Back in 1998, Edward leased Bagshot Park from the Crown Estate, a magnificent 120-room mansion on 51 acres in Windsor Great Park. The initial agreement was standard, a 50-year lease for £5,000 a year, rising to £90,000 after Edward invested £1.36 million into a £3 million renovation, with the Crown Estate covering the rest. The National Audit Office confirmed the arrangement reflected market value. Then, in 2007, Edward's legal team executed a masterstroke. Through his private company, Eclipse Nominees Limited, he paid a one-time fee of £5 million to extend the lease to 150 years. In exchange, the annual rent dropped to a symbolic peppercorn sum, virtually nothing, often just £1 per year. This lease had no restrictions on resale, unlike Andrew's Royal Lodge arrangement, which was limited to Sarah Ferguson and their daughters. Edward's lease could be inherited by his wife, Lady Louise, and his son, James, or even sold for profit. Essentially, Edward secured 150 years of rights to a Crown Estate mansion, likely worth £30 million for just £5 million, with negligible ongoing costs. When the Times revealed the arrangement in late 2025, campaigners decried it as obscene housing reform. Advocates noted the stark contrast. While ordinary leaseholders face skyrocketing ground rents, a royal 15th in line to the throne held a property that could generate enormous income, all legally, quietly, and strategically. So while the drama over titles played out for decades in the public eye, Edward's true triumph lay in property. influence, and strategy. He had turned a ceremonial dukedom into a broader legacy, outmaneuvering the crown quietly while retaining the real power behind the monarchy. His lease, his property, his control of charitable networks, these are the tools that cemented his family's position far beyond the ceremonial pageantry of a title, proving that while the public watched the spectacle, the true game of legacy and influence had already been won. And in the end, while ordinary leaseholders struggle with rising costs, a royal 15th in line to the throne lives in a property that could generate significant income for the public. The Crown Estate never fully explained how it calculated the so-called market-tested premium on Bagshot Park. But one prominent property law firm pointed out something telling. Edward's deal is legally indistinguishable from a standard long lease transaction. Prestigious, yes, but legally quite ordinary. Yet Edward's lawyers had done something brilliant. They made sure that his claim on Bagshot Park was bound by a legal contract that even the monarch cannot revoke, securing the property in a way that transcends royal whim. While titles can cause drama and leases can spark debate, one part of Edward's inheritance stands above the rest, though it rarely grabs headlines: Prince Philip's charitable empire. Unlike titles, which can be ceremonial, or properties, which can be contested, the true power of Philip's legacy lies in the work he created to change lives. When Philip passed in April 2021, his material estate was fairly straightforward. Most went to the Queen under spousal inheritance laws. When she died in 2022, Charles inherited tax-free under the sovereign-to-heir exemption, but Philip's real legacy wasn't money. It was the charitable institutions and programs he nurtured over 7 decades. The jewel of that legacy is the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, founded in 1956 alongside German educator Kurt Hahn. Originally a national youth initiative, it has grown into one of the world's largest youth development programs, now active in over 140 countries, with more than 1 million young people completing its awards each year. In 2025 alone, over 342,000 young people in the UK began new awards, a record number. Edward didn't just inherit this legacy, he earned it. He completed his Gold Award in 1986, tackling a grueling 60-mile, 4-day trek from Blair Athol to Tomintoul. By 1988, he became a UK trustee of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. In 1999, he launched the International Special Projects Group, creating opportunities for marginalised young people to participate in the award. Later, he rose to become chairman of the Board of Trustees of the International Award Foundation. When Charles granted Edward the Duke of Edinburgh title in March 2023, Edward officially became patron of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award and the International Award. He spoke with understanding of the responsibility. Being asked to take on the role after my father is a particular honour and quite a responsibility. Sustaining and enhancing what is arguably his greatest legacy around the world matters a great deal to me. By late 2025, Edward expanded Philip's charitable influence further, taking on patronage of Outward Bound, a globally recognised youth development organisation Philip had supported. Princess Beatrice joined him as deputy patron, formalising the passing of institutional responsibility in a way Charles never claimed for himself. Edward's constitutional influence also quietly expanded. In December 2022, a new law added both him and Princess Anne to the Councillors of State, a critical group empowered to act on behalf of the monarch when the king is absent or unable to perform duties. This is no ceremonial role. Councillors can attend high-level meetings, sign legislation, receive ambassadors, and wield the king's authority. Unlike titles or properties, this is power codified in law, lasting for life and only removable through parliamentary action. The significance is clear. Previous councillors like Harry and Andrew were unreliable. Harry had moved abroad and publicly criticised the family, while Andrew was embroiled in scandal. King Charles needed trusted replacements quickly, and Parliament acted swiftly, according to the UK constitutional framework. This change signalled a larger shift. The monarchy is now prioritising working royals over simple line of succession status. Edward, though 15th in line, holds more constitutional authority than Harry, 5th, and Andrew, 8th. During Charles's cancer treatment in early 2024, Edward, Anne and William stepped in to handle key royal duties, demonstrating how indispensable he had become. Looking ahead, Prince George will join the Councillors of State at 21, followed by Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis. Until then, Edward stands as one of only 3 royals capable of reliably acting on behalf of the king. Step back and take in the bigger picture. Edward, once underestimated, even ridiculed by the press and family alike, has quietly played the longest game in modern royal history. The prince who left the Marines, the television producer whose company lost money, the one who settled for the Earl of Wessex title. He has now amassed a combination of titles, property, charitable influence, and constitutional authority that no younger royal sibling in recent memory has achieved. The Duke of Edinburgh title, even as a life peerage, positions him as one of the highest-ranking royals in practical terms. His family's 150-year lease on Bagshot Park secures a home for future generations, managed by a private company outside of royal interference. Philip's charitable work gives Edward global reach while functioning independently of the palace. Meanwhile, his position as a Councillor of State grants him a permanent, legally protected role in the UK's constitutional framework, a role that cannot be revoked without parliamentary approval. Edward's achievements are staggering. By 2025, he completed 307 official engagements, ranking 3rd among the royal family, only behind Anne and William. He represented the king on international trips to Papua New Guinea, Japan, India, and Canada. He served as Lord High Commissioner to the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland and received Scotland's highest royal honour, the Order of the Thistle. He also took on outward-bound patronage, reinforcing his father's global legacy. In contrast, his brothers faced very different paths. Andrew lost all his titles and military roles, was evicted from Royal Lodge, and now lives quietly on a farmhouse within Sandringham Estate. Harry gave up his royal duties, moved to California, and maintains a strained relationship with the family, constantly under media scrutiny. Meanwhile, Charles's slimmed-down monarchy, combined with his health challenges, revealed the fragility of succession and the risk of constitutional disruption. Yet Edward remained consistent, reliable, and quietly in control. The story of Edward is one of patience and strategy. He waited 24 long years for his dukedom, never complaining, never publicly challenging the royal hierarchy. He showed up, did the work, and quietly secured assets, legal, financial, and institutional, that no monarch can revoke. Titles may come and go, but Edward's inheritance, the lease, the charitable empire, and his constitutional authority is permanent, secure, and untouchable. When it comes to legacy, Philip's vision is clear. His name, his work, and his cherished Edinburgh identity live on. And it is Edward, not the crown, who now holds them. Unlike the crown, which is subject to new monarchs and shifting political winds, what Edward possesses is guaranteed by law. It cannot be taken away, it cannot be diminished. He played the longest, quietest, and most effective game in the royal family, and he won. If this story surprised you, subscribe and hit the bell. We explore the royal stories the palace prefers to keep quiet. Leave a comment. Did Charles treat Edward fairly, or did he fail to respect their father's wishes? Like this video for more insights into the true power struggles behind the crown.